My name is Jensen Buck, and this is my story. It's a story of the ups and downs and ins and outs of a real touring musician. Life on the road, life at home, and the lives of those who've been following me through this journey. It's a story of what it really takes to make it in today's music world. From the small town to the big time, burning down stages all across America, and hopefully being able to make a living with this guitar. I'm Jensen Buck, and this is The Road. Oh, there we are. Well, before we get started, I should probably tell you guys a little bit about myself. It wasn't always reggae, wasn't always country, and it wasn't always touring. I used to play in a band called Once Around, back in '97. So we'd play punk rock, play in everybody's garage, and just have fun. Not really sure what we were doing, but we had a good time doing it. And then I got enlisted in a band called Four on the Floor. We'd tour around playing cover music. Oh man, it was awesome. And oh my God, look at that hair. I guess blonde was in back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Not sure what I was thinking. But back to the story. So I'm playing music for about 4 or 5 years with a band called Four on the Floor. And somewhere along the line, I realized I needed to get my own voice out there. Start playing my own music. So I started Jensen Buck and the Family. It was comprised of mostly rock, mostly, well, anything that I wanted to write. I subscribed to the Elvis Costello thing. Then I got married. Not going to show you that. And had a kid. And not going to show you that either. So when I had a kid, I realized I need to do something. So I quit music, packed my bags, moved to California, and went to dive school. Graduated dive school, got a job, moved to New Orleans, started diving all over the world. Japan, Brazil, Mexico, China, California, Saudi Arabia. And I got a chance to meet a whole bunch of really good people. And in that time, I got married and divorced. Not going to show you that. Had a kid. And not going to show you that either. Came back to the States and then realized that I love music. So I started playing a little bit and got a job as a radio DJ down there in St. George, Utah. And music wasn't really too much of a priority in my life, so I just played for fun. Go around, get some guys together. There's one of my daughters hanging out with me on stage. So I started weeding diving out of my life and playing music more full-time and taking it seriously. So I'd get a bunch of guys, whoever I could, wherever I could, and however I could, and playing as much as I could. Here you go, ladies. That's a little bit for you. Well, anyways, back to the story. So I got Jensen Buck and the Family on the road, playing good gigs with a bunch of really good musicians. Even got some merch. Here you go, fellas. This is one of our JBF girls down there in southern Utah. Enjoy. So now Jensen Buck and the Family is touring the country, trying to make a name for themselves in the reggae country way. I think it's now time you guys got to meet our sponsors. So this is Randall Brinkerhoff. He's the owner-operator of UTV Adventure Tours. These guys live down there in St. George, Utah, and man, what a good time. Love these guys. This is Chuck Humphreys. He's the owner of Avocado Print, who gets us all our shirts, hats, beer mugs, whatever you can think of. He's also a badass musician, and I met him on the road when he was playing with a guy named Jordan Young down there in Salt Lake City. And Keith. So I met Keith at a singer-songwriter show. I just so happened to be drinking an organic amber ale. When he walked up, gave me a hell of a tip, said we should go into business together. Took a few years for everything to work out, but we got a beer van and all the beer we can drink. Ah, what a guy. Thanks, Keith. We appreciate you, buddy. And this is Annie Smith. Annie has a jewelry place up there in Boise, Idaho called Tarnished and True and Chicory and Sage. She creates all of the stuff herself in-house and is an amazing artist. Ran into her up there in Boise and she said she wanted to adorn us in all the latest greatest. So she keeps us in the latest fashion, make us look good, and able to sell a couple pieces at a time just off of us wearing it. Thanks, Annie, we love you. So I think it's time you meet the family. Well, let's start with the backbone here. This is Kadem Scow. Kadem's a drummer out of Boise, Idaho that I found in Guitar Center. I was walking around looking for musicians and I came across him and asked him if he wanted to join the band. He said he knew a whole lot of guys and could probably help me out. He's been on the road ever since. Thanks, buddy. And this is Greg Goodell. Greg and me went to high school together and really weren't all that good of friends. Later on, he joined Four on the Floor, and then when I moved up to Boise, asked him to join the family. Now we work together doing music creations, and actually, come to find out, he's really family.
Not gonna show you that.
No, I'm not joking. He's like one of my cousins and shit. This is weird.
And not gonna show you that either.
And somewhere behind me over here is Creed. Hell. I can't ever pronounce his last name. Anyways, Creed came back from Nashville, and just in time when I was coming back into Boise. Asked Creed if he wanted to be a part of this, and he said hell yeah. Come to find out, Creed's the most easygoing dude I've ever met. He's also a political science major and runs for office. How weird is that? And this is J-Mats. I met J-Mats down there in Arizona at a festival we were playing. He's friends with Creed and Kadem. When I met him, I thought he was sitting on a head full of acid. But come to find out, that's just how the dude is. Far out, man. He's a guitar player out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And, if he doesn't look like Jerry Garcia, I don't know who does.
What's happening?
This is Greg Eistock. I met Greg when I was actually trying to find somebody to play keys for a gig last minute. He showed up, decided he wanted to play. He's been hanging out with us ever since. He lives up there in Zion, and an amazing artist at that. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you.
Hey everybody, hope to see you out there with Buck on the road soon. All right.
So we've got a couple different bass players that play with Jensen, Buck, and the family. Guy to my right here, the fuzzball, Brown Sugar, Mr. Scat. He plays the 6-string bass, and he is amazing. He tours with us wherever we go, and pretty easygoing dude to hang out with. He's from California, and oh man. And finally, on auxiliary percussion, we have Mr. Gordon Strang. Gordon's out of Las Vegas and actually was with me on the radio station at KTIM. He's a really good dude and is always there to help out whenever he can. And always has a briefcase full of random shit. It's awesome. I love it. Now I could go on and on and on about the kind of guys we got playing with us. Saxophone, trumpet, lap steel, violin, cello. But let's just move on for the sake of the show. Like this guy. This is Bill Monty. Bill Monty's played with everybody and anybody. He happens to live in small town Emmett, Idaho. He stops in from time to time, hangs out, and tells us stories about the good old days. Here he is when he stopped in at Music Creations just to say hi. Sat down. Next thing you know, 4 hours later, I'm way more knowledgeable about everything that I didn't know, which is a lot.
So this guy's name is Bill Monty. He
Plays guitar.
Yeah, he plays
Kind
guitar.
of.
so this guy sat in with
Everybody.
give me-
Almost everybody.
give me a few lists. A few people on the list.
Joe Walsh, Righteous Brothers,
Pino Bennett.
Bobby Jekyll, Pino Bennett. Just so many people that don't remember me, and I can't remember them either.
Did you ever do anything with the Beach Boys?
No. Got a Charlie Manson stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
Dude, what about Crosby, Stills and Nash?
I went to a party at their house once down at Crosby's place down in Newport Beach, and that's where Crosby, Stills and Nash started, thanks to Joni Mitchell.
Nice.
He brought Graham Nash into the fold.
This guy used to sit in with Joe Walsh when he was too hammered. How awesome is that?
That was pretty good. I don't remember much better than he does.
Yeah. Say goodbye, Bill.
Goodbye.
So now that you know everybody, it's time to get back to business. Let's do this thing. So it started out just being a little kid. My mom and dad were musicians. My mom plays piano. My dad is a singer. They all sing, do the church stuff. When they started having kids, you're going to splice all this together, right? Yeah, okay, good. My mom and dad were, always doing church stuff, and then mom found out we sang. So she's like, oh, okay, well, you're my little guy. So I would sing in all of her girl choirs and all that stuff, and I did that until probably like 5th, 6th grade, and then we were in Sunshine Generation when we were kids. Like that was you had to be in Sunshine Generation. You had to freaking do singing and dancing. It was just family rule. Like that's what you do. So it was kind of weird. Yeah, that's pretty much where I got my start, was singing church music with the family. Found a guitar in my mom's closet. Dinked around with that for a while, and then I got a guitar from a garage sale, and we all started a garage band. And it was just one of those things, like everybody wants to be a rock star. We were actually watching Billy Joel concerts on Disney, try to pretend like we knew how to play, but nobody knew how to play. So MTV was still a thing, so we'd watch MTV and learn the chords to our favorite songs and then mimic what was going on there. And we started doing that, started a band called Once with some buddies. That was literally just 4 dudes that sat around and didn't actually know how to play any music. Family moved up here to Idaho, and I was in a band called Once Around, and we did that for a better part of like 4 or 5 years. At the end of that, I was in high school, and I got asked to come sit in on a gig playing rhythm guitar. Did that, probably toured around that for like 6 years, from like 17 to 24. And then I'd been writing the entire time, doing my own thing. And finally it was time to step into the center stage area for me, just because I saw the way I wanted my music to go and where I needed it to be for me. And so I took a lot of the stuff and started a band. That was the birth of Jensen Buck and the family. Well, man, like, you work hard, you play hard. So, we get guys that come out on the road and they want to, they want to live the rock star life. I've been doing this since I was 17. So I lived in excess for my first like 5, 6, 7 years of this stuff. And, and I lived hard as a diver too, drinking. Yeah, it's a hard life. And people think they can crawl on stage and get wasted and think that they can still perform to the best of their ability. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can do that. Even I suffer sometimes not being able to do that so well. I'm fortunate now to have a good head on my shoulders where it's more about the music for me than anything. But yeah, so when new guys show up on the road and they do their first night and they're trying to impress everybody around them and drink out everything they can drink and do everything they can do, and they wake up the next morning hurting and can't even get their gear into the van. That's one of those things. I'll always say it to them, man, you just gotta take it easy. It's a marathon, not a race. So they don't. I tell them when they first show up, but they don't understand it until they actually have been hanging out with us for a while. Because man, we come down and the slogan was "Hide your whiskey, hide your women" for a long time for Jensen Buck and the family. That was where it was at. That was the mantra. We were gonna come down, we're gonna burn down the stage, and we're gonna party hard in your town, and then we're gonna leave. Man, it's kind of hard because you got to keep a certain buffer zone. Some of these people, I don't know them. I don't know if they're going to show up at my house and burn it down. But at the same time, we're just a bunch of dudes playing music. We're nobody special. I like to think that I've been given a gift and been able to do some good with it. But at the end of the day, I'm just a dude driving around playing music for people. We still have that humbleness about where we came from. I think people see that and it's well received. You know, you go to these small towns and you get everybody in the town to show up. You put out the vibe, it's going to be there. People are going to feel it and respect it and love it. At least that's the hope. This is to show everybody what it's really like. This is to show everybody how hard it is and how much you struggle. Everybody thinks you have a rock star life just because you're playing some music. Nobody cares. Well, this is what it takes to make it, man. This is what it takes. You got to be on the road. You got to be booking gigs. You got to be calling people. You got to be making deals, handshakes. You got to get sponsors. You got to find people that you got to open some doors, rattle some cages. And there's a lot of people that just don't want to hear it. They don't care. They don't give a shit if you're there or not. And sometimes you got to show them why you're there and show them why it's important, and to be able to give it your all. You know, and it's tough. And people think that you can just grab a guitar, become the next thing because you go on American Idol. Well, you know what? Those guys aren't the long-lasting people. There's a few people that showed up that like actually are doing stuff. But the guys that are making the difference are the guys that are on the road, the guys that are making the calls, the guys that are booking the gigs, playing the 9 to 2 gigs, playing the Christmas parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, just so they can feed their kids, feed their family. You know, people don't understand. You give up everything. You don't get to see your family when you're out on the road all the time. It's the hardest thing in the world, you know, having relationships. For the guys that are truly dedicated, they stick to it. And that's what this is. This is showing everybody what the hell we're doing. So this is from zero to who knows where. And I want to show everybody the road. I want the world to see how hard it is on people. There's 10,000 guys just like me in Nashville, homeless. You know, playing on the corners, doing whatever they can. Utah, Seattle, LA, you know, Texas, down in Austin. Guys everywhere doing exactly what I'm doing, thinking if I just keep playing, I could make it. And this is hopefully, you know, just an eye-opener for them on showing them what to do, how to do it. And I don't know if I'm doing it right or not. I'm just doing it. If I said I love you, or would you stay? If I said I love you, and things could always be this way. If I said I love you, or would you stay? If I said I love you, and things could always be this way. I love you. Oh, I love you. God, I love you. Oh, I love you. I love you. Just the same.